Zion Williamson has become a polarizing player in the basketball space and the Twitter space in general. And while I'm not going to talk about what's going on off the court, because honestly that's really none of my business and I don't really talk about that on this channel, I do talk about basketball though. And with recent trade rumors floating around, whether they're legit or not, it raised an interesting question in my mind. Specifically about what is Zion Williamson's value as a player? What is he worth on the open market? Would you trade him? Would you keep him? Would you want him on your team, and would you give up assets to get him? And what would those assets be? None of those questions are easy to answer, if they even have an answer at all. If we're talking strictly basketball ability and talent, Zion Williamson is one of the best in the league. He's a career 25.8 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 3.6 assists per game player on 60.5 field goal percentage. There are only 4 other players in NBA history to average at least 24 points per game on 60 field goal percentage in a single season. Nikola Jokic this season, Kevin McHale in 1987, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 1980, and Wilt Chamberlain in 1967. That's 3 Hall of Famers and one who will be once he retires and is arguably the best player in the world right now, who have a season that's close to what Zion has done scoring-wise in his entire NBA career so far. And there's only one player in NBA history to average at least 27 points a game on 60 field goal percentage in a single season, and that's Zion Williamson at 20 years old. At 20 years old, Zion reached scoring production and efficiency for a single season that no other player in NBA history has reached. From a statistical perspective, he had the most dominant 20-year-old scoring season we have ever seen in the NBA. And it goes beyond stats. They know his game when you look at opposing scouting reports. They know he's not good at shooting. They still can't stop him. He's a monster paint scorer. There's nobody that can stop him going downhill. But he's more than just a great athlete, because yes, he's an absurd vertical athlete and super strong. He's a very skilled player contrary to popular belief. Really good handle, really good body control, high feel for the game, really good and willing playmaker, good touch around the basket, knows how to draw contact outside of just flopping. He's one of the most dominant players in basketball when he plays, and based on pure talent, ability, and production, he is a rising superstar. Someone that could command the kitchen sink in terms of assets, young players, or even really good players right now in terms of a return in a trade. That's the level of player that Zion is when he plays, but clearly that's not fully the case because I'm making this video. Zion's health is a major factor in his value as a player right now. The best ability is availability, and Zion hasn't proven that yet. He tore his meniscus in a preseason game prior to his rookie season, only played in 24 games as a rookie. He played in 61 games in year 2 and was an all-star, missed all of 2022 with a foot injury, and only played in 29 games this season because of a hamstring injury. Zion's injury history and conditioning have been concerns since entering the league. Even though he's proven to be a great player when he plays, it still is a concern of if he plays or not because of the injury history. Because no matter how great of a player you are, if you aren't fully available all the time, it does change your value as a player compared to what it would be based off your pure talent alone. And that's what makes the question of if you trade Bruno so interesting. Because for the Pelicans, what's the mindset? Is the mindset we need to get what we can in return before we get nothing at all value-wise? Or is it wait it out and see how much value you could get possible, or just keep him? The injuries are a concern. He's averaged 28.5 games played per season, if you factor in how many games he's played versus how many seasons he's been on an NBA roster. That's not good. But at the same time, he's been productive in 2 seasons he's played less than 30 games. 22.5 points per game and 27.8 minutes per game across 24 games as a rookie, 26 points per game on 60.8 field goal percentage across 29 games this season. Regardless of his games played, that's a rare talent. Players like Zion don't grow on trees, but at the same time, even if he is a great player, high value assets that are likely going to be significantly more available might be more valuable, and that might be hard to turn down. It's not an easy question to answer. It's not an easy decision to make, because I do believe you can get a lot for Zion in a trade, even if he isn't fully healthier. The return won't fully be what it would be if he didn't have injury concerns. But it's also not a guarantee you ever get a talent like Zion again. I would lean towards the idea that you probably won't land a talent that's good. I'm glad I'm just a guy on the internet making videos, because I can't imagine the stress of answering a question like this and making a decision like this would be on a general manager, especially with so much on the line when making that decision. Every question about Zion's value on the open market boils down to if you think it's worth the risk or not. Are you willing to bet on Zion's talent to the point you are willing to take a risk of making him a priority player? For teams that could trade for him and the Pelicans, the question is, are you willing to bet on Zion Williamson getting healthy? Is the talent great enough to take that risk? For me personally, I do think that talent is worth the risk. This is a rare talent. A talent teams would trade a lot to get a chance at 70% of. A generational player, and not in the sense of we throw around that term every year. In the sense of a legit generational talent. Someone who's done things scoring-wise no other player in NBA history has. A historically great player when he plays. That's what Zion Williamson is as a basketball player. But I do see the side of it being not worth the risk to teams. Is the availability concerns worth the risk of giving up a chance at Scoot Henderson or Brandon Miller? Or any other young asset or future pick in that regard? It's easy for me to sit here and say Zion Williamson is worth the risk. And I do think he's worth the risk. But I make videos on the internet. My opinions don't influence a billion-dollar organization. My thoughts on what is and isn't worth a risk doesn't have an impact on a near $200 million investment. The impact and outcomes of this decision will change franchises forever. That's what makes this question so hard to answer, and why it might not even have an answer. Listen, I don't care about what Zion does off the court. He's not the first, and he won't be the last pro athlete to get caught up in a situation like that. Trust me. And honestly, there are NBA players who have done significantly worse things, and honestly don't deserve the privilege of playing in the NBA compared to what Zion's done. That's a whole other topic that I will probably never make a video about. But with Zion, I think the recent drama overshadowed a real question about him as a basketball player. And it all comes down to if you're willing to take the risk on the talent because of the injuries. It's very interesting to me looking at the fact that these questions don't have clear answers. I love Zion. I think he's a great player. He's one of the best prospects I've ever evaluated. He's one of the most gifted players I've ever seen, and I hope he can stay healthy and have a great career, because if he can stay healthy, he's easily going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't think that's up for debate based off his talent. But the reality of his situation is a mystery in terms of what the future holds, and the questions that have to be asked can only be answered with time. Like I always say on this channel, only time will tell in terms of what the future holds. But I am hoping for the best. But that's the end of this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, hit notification bell, I'm notified whenever I release a video. Liking and subscribing are the two best ways you can help me out with the YouTube algorithm. Helps when people find my videos, so in turn, helps the channel grow so I can make more content for you guys in the future. Let's try to get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. I would really appreciate that. Let me know what you think about Zion Williamson in the comment section below. This will be the first video of season 3 on the channel because it's focusing on the off season, not the regular season. I want to thank you guys so much. We did 190 videos from this past season. Congrats to the Denver Nuggets on winning the NBA title. But I want to thank you guys because this season I've made so much progress. The most progress I've ever made on YouTube. This was my 5th NBA season making YouTube content. And it's been by far the best. Second one on this channel, but 5th overall that I've been making NBA content. I can't believe I've been doing it for this long, and I can't thank you guys enough for the support. I truly feel like I'm in a spot now where I can make this a legit long-term career with more time and continued improvement. You guys push me to improve. You guys push me to be my best by showing the support you do. It means a lot to me. So can't thank you guys enough for that. But with that being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.